It's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Korach, What's in a Fall? We know that Korach made this terrible challenge to Moshe, said, all the nation is holy, and why should you reign over the Jewish people? Moshe's reaction was, he heard and he fell on his face. This falling on the face is a subject of much debate. We've talked in the past about those who want to argue that somehow Moshe was no longer fit for the job, he couldn't handle it, couldn't do it, and that this represents his great failure and he needs to go and a new generation needs to come. In the past, I've spoken very strongly against that position and argued that actually Moshe falls on his face because he expected to have more help. He expected to have tribal help from each tribe. Instead, he gets tribal dissonance. He gets leaders of tribes who are supposed to be helping him. They're actually the ones who are rebelling against him. That's the argument I've made in the past. You can go to past videos to check that out. What I want to show today is that among the commentaries over the generations, there have been 6 different views of what this fall is all about, and let's go at it. The first view is that he falls out of embarrassment. The Rabbi Yosef Bechor Shor, one of the Balei Tosfot people, says that he was disgusted. He says he's so embarrassed. They suspected him of trying to honor his brother Aaron and therefore choosing nepotism, that he's just choosing his own for his own self-aggrandizement. He chose himself and his brothers and the tribe of Levi. He's so embarrassed that they would try to accuse him of this. Targum Yonasan ben Uziel, much earlier, maybe in the 9th century, 10th century, whatever it was in the land of Israel, or maybe it's earlier, he says, everybody's holy except you're not. You're not holy. He was embarrassed. He fell on his face out of embarrassment. Why? Because they did a weird thing. They said, we suspect that you're hanging out, sneaking around with our wives. So we warned our wives, you better not hang out with Moshe anymore. And therefore they're going to make them drink the sota potion to make sure that they didn't sleep with or have yichud or hide out with Moshe on any occasion. He was so embarrassed, they would suspect him of something like this. So the first view is he falls on his face out of embarrassment. Granted, according to that view, Moshe is having a rough day. Second view, Moshe gave up on the Jews. This is more consonance with those that I'm arguing against. That Rashi says, this is the 4th time the Jews have sinned. The golden calf, so many things. How many times can the Jews sin? We're done. How am I going to appeal to God when you've sinned so many times? Torah, Zalman Sorotskin says, he says, I'm used to having some help, like in the golden calf. At least the tribe of Levi was on my side. Now even the tribe of Levi is against me. I give up. And finally, this Torah also has another theory that this is the first time they're questioning my leadership. I'm not sure that's true, but only for the first time. But it's really the notion that they're questioning his leadership and his the whole project of taking the Jews out of Egypt. That it was a bad idea. This shook him up to the core. The second theory is closest to my opponents, who believe that Moshe is in a failed position. The third argument is that it's hard to argue. That there's some things are awkward. Zalman Torah says, what are you going to say when they say everybody's holy? What are you going to say? Everyone's not holy. Everyone is holy. It's one of these truisms that it's true, but there also is a need for a differentiated leadership, and there's some people who are holier than others, and so what is he going to say? So he was stymied. The Maharil said he was stymied because what are you going to say? People accuse you of infidelity or stealing their wives. I mean, it's so ridiculous. What are you going to say to that? And the Shach says, based on the Reb Sadigon, that everyone will say that he's only looking out for himself. So what is he supposed to say? Not that he's embarrassed about it. He's not embarrassed. He's not doing anything wrong. He knows what he's doing. He knows who he is. But he says, what are you supposed to say when people say, oh, by the way, you You stole everything for yourself. He did take everything for himself. His brothers, the high priest, he's the leader, and his family tribe is the holiest tribe. So how can you argue with that? It's a tough thing, tough spot. Theory number 4, approach number 4. Actually, falling on his face was not a giving up of any sort. It was actually an action. He was basically cursing these rebels. How do we know that? He's based on Rabbeinu Bachya, based on a Gemara, one Gemara about Rabbi Gamliel, who fell on his face, and also Rabbi Yochanan, who fell on his face. If a great rabbi, a great sage, falls on his face and says Tachanun and really pours his heart out, in those days they would actually prostrate themselves on the ground. If a holy rabbi does that, watch out for his enemies. Anybody he prays against is in big, big trouble. So when Moshe did that, he was basically trying to punish everybody who were so sinful. Far from being failed leadership. One of the commentators said that it's the opposite of Korach. Korach says, "Maduat nasu." You're putting yourself up above. You're a big braggart. You're a big haughty guy. So he says, "I fall on my face. I'm not. I fall on my face before you, before God. I'm humble as can be. What are you talking about? I'm not trying to raise myself up. I'm going down." Finally, there's the approach of tefillah, of prayer, and I think this is the most appealing. And the various forms of prayer, God speaking to us speaking to God. And this is the most appealing, that Moshe is not falling apart. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He is praying. In fact, the proof to this that I want to bring is later on it says, "Vayiplu b'neihem vayomru." Later on, when the Korach people are about to be killed, everyone's about to be killed. Moshe says, "Wait a second, are you going to kill everybody? Is one person going to sin and you're going to kill everyone?" So they fall on their face and they said, "Is one person going to sin and everyone will die?" So they prayed to God. So we see that they prayed to God. Falling on their face is a form of prayer. In our pasuk, at the beginning of the parsha, it doesn't say what they said when they fell on their face, but surely they prayed. And later it explains that when they fell on their face in a slightly different scenario later on, at a later point when the situation has deteriorated further, we know that they prayed. So it's a prayer. Who says this? Rashbam and Chizkuni say that they were praying, and while they were praying, since they're not like us, Moshe, someone who gets an answer from God. So as he was praying, he was told what to say to Korach. That he didn't make it up. Hashem told him to say that. Big question, where did Moshe get some of the ideas of how to fight Korach? Maybe he got it in a prophecy. Reb Sadia Gaon, Ibn Ezra, and Barbanel, they say he was looking for prophecy. He fell on his face, as we find some of the prophets in later times fall on their face to get prophecy. He fell on his face. What does God want me to do? I give up. What should I do? Not that I give up in the sense of he's a bad leader. No, he's putting it in the hands of God and saying, "Look, God, what do you want me to do? Want me to kill everybody? What should we do over here?" The Barbanel suggests something very appealing to mystics and all that he wants to go into his bodus. He's standing there with all this crowd and all these people, and everyone's looking at him, and he's kind of distracted, and he says, "You know what? Fall on my face, look at the ground, pray to God, be all by myself, and in that moment of being by myself, I could have prophecy, I could have a prayer, I could have inspiration." So he's looking for inspiration. He's doing his bodus. He's being alone, in a moment alone with his thoughts. So we have these 6 approaches. Let's take a look. My opponents claim that Moshe is a failed leader. Let's see which approaches say that. Those who say he was embarrassed, what is he supposed to do? They say embarrassing things, so he's embarrassed. Those who say he gave up on the Jews, look, if the Jews they're so sinful, what's he supposed to do? He's worried. If Levi's not following with him, what's he supposed to do? If they're questioning him, it's a good reason to kind of give up. According to those, it's not really giving up. It's saying it's a situation where what are you supposed to do? Or that it's hard to argue. It's not that he's failing. It's very hard to argue against strong demagogues. If he's taking a harsh prayer, trying to hurt people, that's not failure. That's taking action. If he's responding to Korach, it's a very good idea. He says he's high, he goes low. And finally, if it's a prayer, it's the opposite of inaction. It's the opposite of someone who's a failed leader. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's praying to God, he's looking for prophecy, and hoping to get the right inspiration. Moshe, again, is Moshe emes Torah emes. Moshe is not a failed leader. He's falling on his face. It's very much part of what he's supposed to do as part of being a prophetic leader. And Moshe, indeed, leads the Jews in a successful campaign against Korach. And the Jews move along, and indeed, children of Korach confirm Moshe emes, Torah emes. Moshe is true, and the Torah is true. Thank you for joining us here at the Baron Hirsch Congregation for discussion of the Parsha. Join us each week for discussion of the Parsha and the holidays. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.